There is a big difference between faking it and creating a safety net. A safety net is, I'm going to go do this speech and I'm going to have a cheat sheet in my pocket in case I forget what I want to say. Versus pretending you're on stage, but not being on stage and doing a quote unquote speech and then using that as content for social media, even though it wasn't a speech. It's not real.
You can either look good or be good. If your focus is on looking good, then you're probably not that great. The people who are focused on getting better are the ones that are amazing. The people that are focused on looking better are usually way less behind the scenes than you think.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another episode of Next Level University, where we help you level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, episode number 1494, Regret Can Come from the Right Decisions Too. A very deep episode. Today, for episode number 1495, Should You Fake It Till You Make It? I remember Alan said to me one time, after he got to know me better and at a deeper level, he said, I used to think you were such a badass. Back in the day, you would show up to the gym in your loud car and you'd lift heavy weight and you'd take your sweatshirt off and you'd have your tank top on and you'd be jacked. And I used to think you were such a badass.
The bee's knees.
The bee's knees, as they say. And as he got closer and closer to me, he realized that that was not the case. Was I faking it till I made it? I don't think so, because I don't know if I was intentionally trying to look like the bee's knees. I just think that maybe that's just the way it came off. But is there any constructive pieces to faking it till you make it? I would argue that the definition of fake it so you make it means something different to each of us. So you've heard me talk in the past about how for Taryn's birthday one year, we rented a nice car and we went to the drive-in, and me renting that car, I was kind of faking it till I was making it, but not for the perception of others. It was for the inspiration of myself. So much, in fact, so we rented it was a Mercedes AMG CLA 45, I believe. It's a lot of letters. But when we pulled up to the drive-in, one of the young attendants said, "Nice car, man. What kind of car is that?" And I was like, "It's not mine, man. It's not mine. I can't say it's mine. I can't lie about that." If I was trying to fake it till I made it for the perception of others, I would have said, "Yeah, this is my baby. I've had this thing for years. I remember when I first bought it." Whatever. I probably
that'll make you feel really good about
I would have
yourself.
made something up. But that wasn't my purpose behind it. So if you're faking something, or if you're trying to get a preview of what the inspirational life that you're trying to achieve looks like, I would say that's drastically different than just lying outright or trying to use that so people will look at you differently. Here's the thing. And we talked about this in a previous episode when we were talking about you got to take the training wheels off. But the problem with faking it till you make it is, one, what happens if you never make it? That's part one. And part two is, if you're faking it till you make it, even when you do make it, you're not going to actually feel successful because you haven't faced any of the fears, insecurities, traumas, triggers, responses that you actually needed to face in order to get to where you wanted to get to and sustainably stay there. And I think that's the bigger piece. You can fake it and maybe you'll get the result eventually, but the problem is it's not going to help your self-worth, most likely. It might actually make it worse because you're going to not feel like you're belonging or deserving of the result you just got. You might start self-sabotaging yourself because you don't think you deserve it. So I think the baseline, the top layer of this, could it be constructive in some ways? Yes, as long as you're doing it for you, not for other people, is first thing. And then second thing is, what if you don't actually make it? Then what happens? How do you not lose yourself in that? And then part two is, say you do make it to wherever it is you're trying to get to. Do you actually feel good about getting there the way you did? Are you fulfilled in the process of doing it? Have you lost yourself in the process of doing it? Is there ever a place for it? That's up to your interpretation more than mine, I would say.
Kev, you and I, way back, we watched the very first episode of the Hyper Conscious podcast because I had it on my YouTube channel, my old one, and it was on an iPhone.
Yes.
And we could hear it was in first names only Rachel's house, and I showed up 20 minutes late,
of course.
fashionably late.
Yeah, at least 20.
And you opened it with "Welcome to the mother effing
Yes.
Hyper Conscious podcast."
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and you were trying to sound super confident, and I was too. We were both unintentionally more fake in hindsight than I realized. What I now understand, and I'm going to go brief about this, but I've talked a little bit about internal family systems. It's a modality of therapy. I have been learning a ton about it, and I've been using it in my coaching. It's unbelievable. But the point is that we have these protectors. And there's two types of protectors. There's a manager and there's a firefighter. And essentially what that is your ego. And Kevin and I were driving with protectors. We weren't our true selves. We were so fearful of not being competent. This is all unconscious. We didn't know this. It's not like we were like, we're fearful of being incompetent. Let's ego up here. There wasn't any of that. But instead of sitting in the truth and the vulnerable truth of, honestly, I don't really know what I'm doing. This is my first podcast episode. I am going to interview Alan, and I'm a little bit intimidated because I think he's a lot smarter than me. Sorry. But I think that was probably how you were feeling at the time.
That was a fact, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because you thought I was really smart. I thought you were a badass. Now we both know we're both soft. No, I'm kidding. But at the end of the day, our protectors came up. So I tried to be the intellectual, intelligent one, and Kevin tried to be the badass. And this was all unconscious. None of this was on purpose. We weren't purposely being egotistical. And fortunately, it was a pretty good episode, all things considered. But it was our first time, and now looking back, if we were to watch that, it would be brutal for us. And the reason why is because we've grown. We've grown so much in emotional intelligence. We've grown so much in vulnerability. We've grown so much in our ability to speak and articulate things in a way that's powerful and real and authentic. Whereas back then, we were just living more in ego, living more in protection, living more in fear. So there's two types of people, right, in this analogy. There's one person who says, listen, I'm afraid and I'm fearful and I'm scared and I'm confused and I'm uncertain, but I'm going to give this a shot anyway. And they're just real. They're authentic about it. The second type of person is someone who pretends they're not afraid, maybe doesn't even think they are, and they just ego up and they act like they're super confident when they're not. You acted super confident. You weren't. And now that's clear, but only because we are now. Whereas back then, I actually fell for it. I thought you were confident as shit. You know, the mother effing hyperconscious podcast. You were trying to be your own unique flavor of Joe Rogan. I think it's cute.
It's what I thought I wanted at the time. It's what I thought I wanted.
Exactly. And then the real contemplative question here, the philosophy behind this is, would Kevin have gotten here if he didn't fake it till he made it? I don't know. Could you have been more vulnerable and just say, listen, I'm scared. I'm just going to ask some questions, see how this goes? I think that probably would have been better.
I agree.
Yeah. But again, it's better than not doing it at all. So yeah, our first episode was garbage, but at least we got it done. And then over time, we learned about vulnerability. We became men instead of boys, and here we are. So fake it till you make it is one of those things where it's, yeah, kind of, but also no. Be your authentic self to the best of your ability, realizing that that's the hardest thing in the world.
Hey, I wanted to give my experience working with Kevin and the rest of the Next Level University team. It has been such a seamless relationship. He is so easy to work with, Kevin, and he gives you all the information you need, but doesn't overwhelm you. He's also meets you where you're at. So whatever you want to do, he'll make it work. And it's just, there's no stress, there's no drama. And everybody else that I've worked with has been patient with me because I am not technologically savvy. So they've been helpful and patient and just encouraging. And it's just been a fantastic experience. I highly, highly recommend working with them.
It almost is, if you can use that as a training wheel. If the goal is, you know what, I'm not super confident, so I'm going to try to pretend that I am with the intention that eventually I'll be confident enough to actually be confident. It has to lead to a means to an end. I had somebody reach out to me recently, and I love sharing this type of stuff because if you're not someone who is a business owner or a podcaster or whatever it may be, you might not get messages like this. But Alan and I get messages all the time of, hey, pay us $500 and you can be in this magazine, Forbes magazine, blah, 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 all this dumb stuff. And somebody messaged me recently and said, hey, do you want help with your social media? I know how to make things go viral, blah, 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 blah. And I go...
No, you don't.
I go and look at this person's page, and every single one of their posts have hundreds of thousands of likes and a bunch of fake comments. And that's a really good example of faking it till you make it. The problem is they're most likely not going to make it.
Yeah.
It's not the time that you spend on faking it, you're not spending on making it. You're not spending on creating. You're not spending on becoming that type of person. You're not spending it growing. You're not spending it doing that stuff. You're spending it saying, how do I look as good as possible? There was a podcast that I was going to go on recently, and I always do research before I go on podcasts. I want to make sure I'm a fit. I want to make sure I know who the person is and who I'm talking to. And I started to see hints that this show might be faking a lot of what they were doing. So one of the things you can do, and again, if you're not a podcaster, it doesn't really matter, but if you look at somebody's show and they have 500 5-star ratings and nothing else, no 4, no 3, no 2, no 1, no 0, most likely it's not real.
And they all say, great show.
Yeah, yeah. No. Or a lot of the stuff is misspelled and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Odds are those are not real reviews. So I said, interesting, that's a red flag for me. Then I went and looked at this person on social media. They have 500,000 followers and they get 3 likes per post, and that's fake too. And I just started to do some research, and I said, this person is faking it till they make it. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. If the show's not good, none of that matters. If the social media content isn't valuable, none of that matters. It looks really good in the moment, but it's not going to sustain long term. So to your point, Alan, I would say as long as you are faking it constructively with the goal of not having to fake it forever, but even that, I could go start a page and buy 1 million followers and then say, I'm going to teach people how to make money with their podcast. And I know how to do that. So, but I want people to know how successful I am. And the only way to do that is to have 1 million followers. But then I'll eventually be able to help enough people so it'll be worth it. You could argue for that. You could have an argument for that.
But this goes back to the episode we did recently on the crutches. Not the crutches. What was it?
Training wheels.
Training wheels. That is exactly what we're talking about again, which is if you put a filter... I talked about how when I was doing the fitness modeling, Snapchat made me look so much better than the iPhone.
Yeah.
The iPhone camera doesn't... Emilia took a picture of me in the gym yesterday. Oh my God, man. The iPhone... I know it's not just the phone.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I get it.
I'm sure Apple has something against you in your fitness journey.
Dude, I'm sitting here looking in the mirror, looking at the camera, and it's like, no way. Which one is real, you know? I know everyone else has probably experienced something similar. But anyway, Snapchat used to make us look awesome. I mean, I look jacked, right? So anyways, I used to use Snapchat for my photos instead of... I remember Matt, he said, one of your photos, it looks like it was made in... the 1800s with like a felt pen, you know, because of how much you doctored that thing, you know. I had a very brief time where I doctored photos, very brief. And eventually it was like, this is useless. This is not good. But here's my point. If you use filters, because that helps you put yourself out there,
right,
and then eventually you take the training wheels off, that actually could be a constructive fake it till you make it. I think that more often than not, though, people put those training wheels on and never take them off. And we've witnessed, there's someone who was really, really, really successful on Instagram who used to edit her podcast every single like, I mean, it was over edited. My truth is it was way over edited. It was, you're not a strong speaker. You're just making it look like you are, which is a short-term win for a long-term loss because when she was on stage, she couldn't hang. And that was really devastating for her. And I actually like this person a lot, so I'm not trying to be mean. But at the end of the day, Kevin and I knew after that day, it's like, ooh, this person may never speak again. Because that was devastating for her to get all that feedback. Because, again, with a podcast, you can edit stuff, you can make it look nice, make it feel and look like you're a good podcaster. But when it's live, there's nothing you can do. You know, if you're going to do an interview on live TV one day, maybe you're going to have to actually be who you are. And so I'd rather you develop the skills, or in my case, the real abs, than to just fake it. And if you're always just looking for looking better, and this is my quote that I used to say, and I get why it doesn't land, but I think it will here because of the context we've provided, you can either look good or be good. If your focus is on looking good, then you're probably not that great. I've interviewed a lot of people. I have a lot of clients. The people who are focused on getting better are the ones that are amazing. Yeah. The people that are focused on looking better are usually way less behind the scenes than you think. And I think that all of us in high school did a little bit of that. I know I did, for sure. You definitely did. Mm-hmm. And we grow out of that. You got to grow out of that. That's my truth. You got to grow out of that, because in real life, in your real marriage, in your real household, in your real craft and your real skills, and who you really are, your real knowledge, your real consciousness, your real money, and your real bank account, helping real people in the real world, that's what's going to fulfill you. So if for nothing else, just know, trust me, I did some of that. I used to wear glasses because it made me look smarter. I used to pick the perfect outfits that made me look more intelligent. And I was selling industrial automation equipment to CEOs of billion-dollar companies, and I used to fake it. I used to fake working harder than I really worked. I used to. And it just was so deeply unfulfilling. It was so deeply unfulfilling. So if nothing else, try to get better in your real life and improve your real life, and then let that be a byproduct. Let looking good be a byproduct of that. And I promise you'll be more fulfilled. I can't promise you'll be more successful, but I can promise you'll be more fulfilled.
My next level nugget would be, there's a big difference between faking it and creating a safety net. A safety net is, I'm going to go do this speech, and I'm going to have a cheat sheet in my pocket in case I forget what I want to say.
Perfect.
That versus faking it till you make it would be pretending you're on stage, and I've seen this. This is real. This has happened many times. Pretending you're on stage, but not being on stage, and doing a quote-unquote speech, and then using that as content for social media, even though it wasn't a speech. It's not real. That is a safety net.
Wait, you've seen that?
Yes, I've seen that. That's not a safety net. That's a fake it till you make it. Yes, I've seen that. Yes.
People are doing that?
It's not rampant, but I've seen it.
Wow.
I'm tapped into this.
You talked about fake weights one time. With
there's a lot of people that... Yeah. There's a lot of people that do fake weights. A lot of people. There's a lot of people in the fitness industry who Photoshop their photos talking about how confident they can help you get, and they sell programs on how to lose weight. That's unreasonably common. Unreasonably common. They have filters for video now. Just because somebody puts up a video does not mean that's the way they look. You can filter videos now. There's a way to do it. It's going to get worse. It's going to keep getting worse and worse. The goal, and we have to hop because I have a coaching call, but the reason I like doing these episodes is because there's probably more people faking it till they make it than you realize. And if you think they're not, that hurts your self-esteem. That hurts your confidence. That hurts your belief in yourself. I'm telling you.
Everyone is less confident than you think. I can promise you that, including the old me.
Same. I have seen pictures of people who won first place at a fitness competition Photoshop that picture and then put it on social media, even though they won the entire thing. Now, this is a deeper conversation of body dysmorphia and all that. It's a much deeper conversation. But if you're influenced by that, you're getting taken advantage of, and I just don't want that to happen for you.
Yeah.
What's your quick next level nugget? Quickly.
Next level nugget is everyone is less confident than they appear socially. And everyone struggles behind the scenes, and you're just not alone in that. And you need to remember that, particularly when it looks like everyone else is more confident. Almost everyone is less confident and less successful than they appear on the outside. And you need to know that, otherwise you'll compare your real life to their fake life, and that's just a losing game.
Next Level Nation, if you are looking for a place where you can be real and you don't have to fake it till you make it, please join our private Facebook group, Next Level Nation. Tomorrow, for episode number 1496. Ooh, I didn't know we were doing these back-to-back. I'm excited. 3 phrases to avoid if you're trying to improve your fitness game. I have had to unfollow so many people recently because I cannot stand how much they're lying to you about what they're doing. So we're going to do an episode on that tomorrow. Very excited. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Focus on improving your real life. Next Level Nation.